Hey, if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking about starting up a travel or an AAU basketball team. So I created this video. It's 10 things you must do before starting your team. So before you hit the court, let me help you out by dodging a few of the rookie mistakes that I made when I first started coming out. So you're getting about 8 or 9 years of basketball experience, or at least starting basketball teams here on this video. Number one, you want to make sure that you understand the basics of either the different travel organizations that are sanctioned by, whatever organization that's in your area. You want to be familiar with their rules. I mean, the rules are all great, but there's just some things that you're going to need. Like, for instance, uniforms. There's certain specifications on uniforms that these groups have, and you want to make sure that you're not going out and spending thousands of dollars on uniforms, and you didn't realize that organization requires uniforms on the front and back, or certain types of colors. So real big and important to know there. I like to throw AAU out here on this because AAU is probably the most popular sanctioned basketball organization out there. They're nationwide. They have a good reputation. They have pretty standard rules, the same rules that most other folks have. But they're reputable, and they're a good group to have. But you also want to know about the other ones in your area, because one of the other ones might be better, and sometimes, actually all the time, you're always going to pay registration fees for your team. So if you've got a team that's starting out and you don't have a lot of funding, you may just want to pick one. And AAU is actually a really good one to go for, but it depends on what area you're in. So you want to understand the basics of the different sanctioned organizations in your region or where you are. So you're not spending a lot of money and just going out blindly doing this. Number two, you want to figure out what kind of team you want. You want to establish your goals. Do you want a developmental team, or do you want a super competitive team? I like to make my videos for new coaches that are coming out doing this and trying to figure out how to set everything up. So hopefully you're not, trying to set up a competitive team as your first one, but who knows, maybe you got a lot of experience doing this and you're going to jump right into it. But you got to figure out what your vision is, and then that'll help you kind of decide, what your team's going to look like, right? What age group are you going to focus on? I suggest just going at it with one team, one age group at the beginning. Figure out what their skill level is going to be, and set up your team that way so that you're going down that path and you're sticking with that age group, that skill level. The next thing you want to do is you want to start looking, and I'm going to move into kind of some things that are important, but a lot of the financial decisions that you're going to make on this team. And so I'm going to start it off first with figure out where you're going to practice. Are you going to rent a basketball gymnasium? And if you are, where? How much is it going to cost you? Do you have a relationship with the facility manager there? What do they need you to give them? Most of the basketball gyms you're going to go to, they're going to want to see that you have insurance, and you'll be able to get that through really any team that or any organization that you register with, because they're going to want you to have insurance as well. But you can, you can buy insurance through AAU, and they'll take that. You can buy insurance. Some these basketball organizations will sell insurance per team, which covers your practicing. Or if they're like AAU, every team or every player pays like 15, 16, 17 bucks, and it includes insurance, as long as you pick that option. So that's super important. So, does that gym that you're going to use, do they have a day of the week that's always available to you, a time, of the day that works for you, so that your parents know, are you able to have some sort of consistency with that? And then, of course, how much are they going to charge? I guess I can't really give a standard price on how much some places charge, but I think, you could probably estimate that you're probably going to pay, a couple hundred a month for this, depending on how many days that you want to do it. If your team is going to be, kind of scraping by financially, look for another basketball team that'll split it with you. The gyms are usually big enough for 2 basketball teams, and I would suggest trying to get it at least 2 nights a week, an hour and a half. Some other ways that I've cut cost is I've done basketball practices outside just to save a little bit of cash. Even when I was doing 2 or 3 nights a week in a basketball gym, I was still practicing on the weekends because it was free and it gave us some time to work on some other things. So it is important to have that consistent practice schedule. And, one other thing I'll throw out there, schools, high school gyms, middle school gyms, if you can get figure out what the requirements are to rent those are good places to go to. Also, some churches have them, Boys and Girls Clubs have them, and the YMCAs have them. You're going to be competing with the local leagues there, but those are options. Check them out. You never know what you can get. The next thing you want to do, and I kind of struggled where I wanted to put these in the list because it really doesn't matter. You want to do all these simultaneously, but I'm throwing, these 2 in there because of finances, right? You're going to have to build a game schedule, and those tournaments cost money. You're looking for anywhere from some tournaments, you can get them down to $150 for the weekend. That's really rare. You're looking upwards of $250, $300, $400 and up. You want to start building a game schedule that works for you, and you want to start calculating those costs. If you're going to have a tournament, 2 tournaments a month, if you got a $350, you're looking at $700 a month right there in tournaments. Also, you're looking at cost for travel. So, and I'll do other videos breaking down finances, but you want to kind of figure out when your schedule is going to be. You want to start looking at your own calendar, make sure you can be there, and just start putting that stuff on paper, just so that you have it. And then, just also look at if you're starting a brand new team and you really don't know what you're getting into, start talking to the tournament directors and letting them know, hey, I'm a brand new team. Am I going to go here and are my players going to be distraught because they got destroyed by 80 points? So make sure that you're considering that. When I first started out, a couple times I didn't do that. But I started to do that in the years following to make contact with that tournament director and just figure out, hey, how did this thing look last year? Is this going to be the appropriate place for me to bring a new developmental team? So keep that in mind as well. Those guys, a lot of them will try and talk into coming anyways, but if you go back and look at how it looked in previous years, and you kind of look up some of the rankings of those other teams that participated, that'll help you out. You can also find Division II and Division III tournaments in some regions, and those are the ones you want to stick with. Now, once you figure out that gym issue and that schedule problem that you have, and kind of figure out how much those things are going to cost, you want to start figuring out your budget. You're going to have costs, right? Uniforms are going to cost you money. Even if you're having the parents pay for the uniforms, you're going to be ordering all that stuff for them. So, and you're going to want to make sure that you know what the costs are going to be, taxes, shipping, the whole 9. I have a few recommendations for uniform places, some that I'm an affiliate for, some that's not. The ones that I'm going to send to you, or the ones I'm going to put in the description box below, they can double as a fundraiser for your team. So that's super important. I'll talk about fundraising later. But take a look at that, and if you have questions on it, just shoot them in the comments section below, and I'll try and help you out. I'm actually really impressed with one company that I'll put down there. Let's see, tournament fees. I talked about them, 150 and up, right? I think you're looking at $350 a month, probably on average, just depending on where you are. It can vary. Travel expenses, I think you can figure that one out. Always add a little bit more. I will tell you that my travel expenses for my teams, I was very lucky. I had parents that drove their kids. Most parents drove their kids, and they took care of giving them money if they didn't drive them. We just had to make sure they got there. But some teams, your team may be one of them, that you're paying for food for each kid. If that's the case, just throw those expenses in there. Start, looking at that. How much is that going to be? Maybe add a couple $100, that you're going to need to take care of that throughout the year. Obviously your gym costs, we've already talked about that. you're going to want to figure out how you're going to fund your budget. Are you going to take all these expenses, add them up, and then divide them by the number of players that you have? Maybe. One of my pieces of advice that I did in the years past is if I had 10 players on my team, I would divide it by 8. If I had 12, I would divide it by 10, because then you're going to have extra money. You're going to have, if you get all 10 or all 12 to pay, you're going to have extra cash. But if somebody misses payments, you're not going out of pocket, and all that money can go into your basketball team bank account. And if everybody pays and you have extra, you have some extra left over for the following year. Maybe you're going to go out and get sponsorships, and I'll talk about that here in a few points. Maybe you're going to get sponsorships and nobody's going to have to pay, but you got to figure that stuff out, because you got to know how much it's going to cost. You want to be transparent with your parents. I will talk about ways in this video, and I'll make other videos as well, but parents need to know what it is that you're expecting of them when it comes to finances. Some of them will have problems with that because they won't be able to afford it, or they won't think it's of value. But you just want to make sure that you're transparent with them. They need to know. Let's see. The next thing is recruiting the right players. So I just made a video about this, but you'll see it if you look through all my videos. But essentially, you wanna know what your player profile is, and you want to make sure that you're out there recruiting. One way that I like to recruit is through word of mouth. If you're out there in these different recreational leagues, middle school, high school teams, you're going to know a lot of the players that you'd like to have on your team. So you can almost do a personal invite. Doing an open tryout is a good way. And obviously you can use social media to advertise the tryouts. You can use social media to recruit the right, to draw attention or look, attract players to come to your team or to reach out. You will get that as you start doing that. That'll come automatically. Networking with other coaches, networking with other parents, it'll start coming. At the first year it can be a little tough, but it will start eventually coming. You want to when you're picking these players, focus on those skills that you want, right? Like if you're a developmental team, it doesn't hurt to, you want these kids to have good fundamentals and skills. You want all the basics taken care of. The last thing you want to do is grab a brand new basketball player, unless the kid's got some height and some body and you can coach them. You do want those coachable kids, and you want those kids that have good attitudes. You also want to, recruit. You want to recruit parents too. Sometimes parents can make or break your team. You want good, positive parents that align with whatever the goals are that you have for your team. And then, and all of these are important, but then this next one can really make or break your team, and that's finding, qualified or caring coaches and parents to help you with the day-to-day administrative issues that you're gonna come up with. Look for a coach that can be your assistant or be the primary coach, somebody who knows how to, knows a little bit about basketball, who can be your number two when you're out there, someone that can help you out with, there's various things going on in a basketball game. You want to make sure that there's a coach out there that can help you out during timeouts, that can help you set everything up for the beginning of the game with warm-ups or going to the scorer's table. There's a lot of things that you're going to learn if this is your first time doing travel ball. A lot of things need to happen. Player management, just so many things, but it's better to have two coaches out there. You also want that team parent that can be, the backbone of your team, that can handle, there's just so many things that come up in travel ball. Making sure that, parents know where to be, what gyms to be at. Their basketball's games change all the time. Someone that communicates effectively. You also, and if you're interested, and I'll talk a little bit more about communicating clearly, but I have emails, templates that I've used over the years. If that's something that you think would be valuable for you, post it in the comments below, and I'll throw some email templates that I've used at various stages of the season. Like the beginning of the season, I send out an expectations email like, hey, here's our roster. This is kind of what we're looking at for the rest of the year. And then I would use that during a parent meeting. But if that's something that would be helpful to you, let me know. I'll post it either in the comments, or I'll make a video, or I'll post it somewhere. But if it's not going to be valuable for you, I don't want to throw it in there. But if you have a team parent that can manage those things, that makes your day or your life so much easier. Someone to manage the team book, that's something a team parent can do. If you're not aware of that, let me know. I'll make a video maybe on like, what a team book looks like, because you do have to do check-ins at these basketball tournaments. The next one is, your fundraising strategy, right? Like, how are you funding this team? Is this going to be a self-funded team with parents paying for everything? Or are you going to go out and get sponsorships and do other fundraisers? Sponsorships are great. They're not hard to get if you've got a parent on your team that can sell, or maybe just you're passionate and you can walk into a business and say, hey, listen, I got a 15-member basketball team that we have, and it's costing us a little bit of money. It'd be great if you could help us out. You do want to get that 503c status, but yeah, that's great. And I'll make a video on that and maybe throw out some template letters that you can use for that. Car washes are obviously a great fundraiser. They're kind of fun. Maybe not setting up and cleaning up, but that's a good way to put your kids to work if you've got older kids. You can also do team merch sales. I'll throw I'm an affiliate for a fundraising company. I'll throw a link in the description box below, but they do pretty cool fundraisers that are very basketball specific. Just different types of merch that they'll sell. I'll put the link down there. They give you a free handout. It'll kind of give you the rundown of what they do. It doesn't cost you anything. Check it out. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's something that works for your team, go for it. Cookie sales, they have just so many different options. I'll put that link down there, and if you want to check it out, you can. Let's see. And there's just so many different fundraising strategies that you can have. The next one is communicating clearly with the parents. It's very important that you set expectations for both your parents and your players. They need to know what the time commitment is. They need to know what costs are. I always threw in a report card, or grades were a big thing. Parents love that, by the way. Especially if they know that the kids have to meet a certain GPA. That's obviously a perk for the moms and dads. Maybe not the players, but just that's something that you can throw out there to the parents and the players. I talked a little bit about some of the ways that I communicate with parents, but there's apps that you can use. Team Snap is one of them. There's group chats that you can set up just to keep the parents in the loop. I mean, like, my parents would communicate on that thing every single day about really nothing, but that was like our mechanism for getting information out quickly and making sure that everybody was looped in and informed. And just the last one, the last step, the last thing that I'm going to throw out there, as a must do for you starting a travel basketball team, and this goes back to setting your objectives at the very beginning, is you just want to create that positive team culture. You want to foster sportsmanship. You want a team that operates together. You don't want bad attitudes floating around. You want all good, positive stuff. You definitely want discipline. Be thinking about that in tryouts day one. Set that stage like, hey, this is how I am. This is how this is going to be. This is how this is going to operate. And don't falter to that standard. But and the kids love discipline. They'll have fun as long as they follow the rules and whatever expectations that you set for them. So, these are my 10 must-dos for starting a basketball team. I think that if you take them and kind of incorporate them as your own, it'll help you be a little bit more successful. But travel basketball is already pretty tough as it is. So I just want to give you some information from my experiences to maybe set you up for a little bit of success. If you've got questions or you need more tips, maybe you have a video idea, put it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video if you found any value in there. And I'll see you on the next one.